Hi, Colin. This is Tom. I was just providing some feedback on the use of Poll Everywhere. In case you ever want to use it, particularly in a brick and mortar classroom, it's useful, but you can use it in an online environment as well. I'm at the Poll Everywhere login. I have my information. I log in. It'll take me to my poll. It'll show me the responses that I've already received on that poll. Another thing it shows me are two important points. One is the question that I asked, and two ways for students to respond. One is through pollev.com with my name, the real Tom Mason. And that, I could name the poll anything, just like you noticed. You see that I responded to my own post here a few minutes ago. Just as an example, I did a test and I've just put nothing. Another way to do this is by putting simply on a PowerPoint slide your question and then this instruction, text the real Tom Mason, or whatever you call your poll, to 22333, wants to join, then text your message. And when they do that, initially they'll be entered into the poll, and it will give them instructions to give their reply and then to text the word leave to leave the poll. So they can leave at that point after they're done. Another point I wanted to show is this poll is active here, but I just deactivate it. You notice this button will change from dark to light. If this button is dark, the poll is active. And that's how you can tell if your poll is active at this time. So other things I can do is I can change the format. So however I want to see this poll, I can put it in different ways. This is really not useful to me, this word cloud. Now, if I had words that I put up there and I said, select the top three terms on here related to let's say automated transportation vehicles, then I could put a list of words up here and see what the three most popular were, and I would be able then to cluster the information that I got back in the responses from the students. Another one is displaying these as tickers, which are not really conducive to just put people to sleep unless I change the effect speed and bump it up a little bit. It really doesn't make it much faster. Other information I can put on there, I can change my font, my title, etc. If I wanted to use more than one poll, now it's a free setting, it's a free poll, but you can only do one at a time. However, I could go in here and change the color just to signify to students that this is a different poll that I'm entering in for their response. So close that. Once I have this, I can test it. Test 2, and submit my response. See the response pops down here. Let me go back into this setting. I'm going to go back to text wall. Close this. And then finally we have present. And this is where you were looking at the PowerPoint downloader. But again, it's not necessary. If you want to add the presenter app, you can, and it will actually put a tab inside your PowerPoint in order for you to be able to create this a little bit easier and download the poll as a slide. But we don't have to do that. The simplest thing to do is simply make a PowerPoint slide, put our question, and then put text whatever to 22333, wants to join, then text your message on the slide itself. Now students in the classroom can whip out their cell phones or their tablets and text right there inside the classroom and give responses, and then you can go back and collect that information and continue on with your lecture or your lesson for that day. And that's important because now we have student engagement. Now we have students that are telling us the three most important parts about automated transportation vehicles are convenience, cost, and being able to do work while driving. Those three things might be important, and you'd be able to see a trend inside there in the responses. Now some other settings, if you didn't play around with this too much, some of the other settings we have inside here deal with students and the way we set this up. A lot of different ways to let me go to my, I'm not going to go to my poll results. Go back here, configure, here we go. So under the configuration, under response settings, I can limit them to one answer. I can make responses anonymous. And I can send a reply message. So if I wanted to send a reply message, I think this is a premium option, and that would be like, thank you for your response. Okay, big deal. They know they'll get a response because Poll Everywhere will text them back and say that it's been received, and when they text leave, it will tell them, okay, you've left for that. And so that's the very simple part of this. Again, using this in PowerPoint, the easiest way to do that is simply to put your question in a PowerPoint slide and then give them the way to respond in the same PowerPoint slide. Very easy to do. And you can see here these poll answers are anonymous. Now if I wanted to make this anonymous because I have students who are quiet and don't like to respond in class, you know, it's more brick and mortar application, then I can leave that anonymous because those students, you know, you wouldn't believe how verbose the quiet student becomes when they're allowed to text something like this anonymously, when there's no attribution. The other side of that is, of course, they could say all kinds of things on there that might not be conducive to the learning environment, and they'll know that they can get away with it. So we can weigh these back and forth. But again, simply very easy to use. And again, if you're in a brick and mortar classroom, this is very helpful for engagement because it breaks the lesson into chunks and it gives them an activity to do. But even in the online environment, this is something that you can post at the end of the week by saying, okay, here are the results of your poll. This is what you thought, and you can post those on there. In the online environment, I would not make it anonymous. I would leave it so that there is some attribution to it, because I would always be able to remove those later if I wanted to. If I wanted to just create a conglomeration of the most popular responses, I can certainly do that. All right. We deactivate the poll. All right. Again, we can change back and forth here. All right. Test. I can activate the poll again. And now it's active again. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, this is another sort of novel way to have interaction inside a classroom, whether it's brick and mortar or it's online.